What's up, tribe? I'm out here doing another creek walk with the dog. Had a few thoughts on my mind I wanted to share with you. If you're new to this channel, my name's Jacob. Apex is all about humans, dogs, and the foods that bonded us, which of course is meat. And the topic I wanted to discuss, what's been weighing on my mind, is consumerism in America. And I'm not just talking about consumerism as in going out and buying a bunch of stupid stuff, which is definitely part of this, but what's been weighing on my mind and what I want to talk about is how it relates to health, nutrition, and just our overall well-being, because consumerism in America affects everything. So if you're not familiar with how this all came about, I think it was like the early 1900s, I forget the exact year, but essentially the Rockefellers decided that we were too efficient, I guess. And the things that we did, the stuff we built, it lasted too long. We were so efficient and effective at what we did, we weren't buying a lot of stuff. So their goal and what their plan was is that they wanted to change America into a nation of consumers. That way they could capitalize on profit and they could make more money. And that's essentially what they did. And the reality that we're living in is the result of their plan that actually played out and apparently worked. So obviously that means that we buy a bunch of stupid stuff. We have to have the nicest car and the biggest house and all this, surrounded by all this crap that we don't need. The biggest TV with the 8K HD definition and blah blah blah, all this stuff. We gotta have it, so we spend money. And of course it doesn't last that long, so we gotta upgrade. Technology goes out of date within a year or two. They change the car design every 2 years. The house all of a sudden isn't big enough. You gotta have a bigger house, so we have to constantly upgrade. Go under this log here. So not only are we constantly upgrading all the stuff that we buy, but we're upgrading the people in our lives as well. You're dating or you're married or whatever the case may be, and your significant other just doesn't pan out anymore. They're not adding up. They don't stack up to the next new shiny object, so you got to trade them out. Even if they're a wonderful, wonderful person, because granted, there are reasons to upgrade your significant other if it's warranted, but to just do it because the next shiny object comes in the frame is very, very common. And we don't really put value in the things that actually have value and meaning. And that's just the consumerism part of it, that's based on like money and what we perceive as valuable. But even more than that, and the big point I want to get to that I've been thinking about a lot, is the food industry. The food industry has completely adopted that same principle of consumerism. So if you think about it, it ties into the food, it ties into pharmaceutical industry, the medical industry, because you buy the hyper-processed food. It is literally made for you to consume as much of it as you possibly can and keep coming back for more, because it's highly addictive, it's highly processed, it is very nutrient void. So you consume, and you're never satisfied. It's never good enough. You're never full, you're never satiated. You don't really ever scratch that itch. So it's consumerism. And the same thing goes with how the food affects you. So let's say that, your entire life you spent eating hyper-processed food, and you've bought into the consumerism lie. And you're eating this food, and, you get older and your health starts to deteriorate because of the food and how nutrient void it is, and how it affects your metabolic system and your endocrine system and all the bad stuff in the food just really doesn't agree with you. It takes a toll on your body. And now all of a sudden you have to go to the medical community, and you're relying on the medical industry for treatments. Notice I said treatments, not cures, because that is where consumerism comes in. The medical industry is 100% focused on treating your condition, stringing you along so that you keep coming back, because every patient cured is a patient that is lost. And that's money that's lost. Consumerism. And then, along with the medical community and the medical industry, comes the pharmaceutical industry, because they rely very heavily on that. And there's a drug for everything. Just like, a couple years ago when phones started getting really popular, there's an app for everything, was the big slogan. Well, there's also very literally a drug for everything. And they are not shy about telling you about it and suggesting that you take that said drug to further prop up your declining health and keep stringing you along so that you keep spending money. And then all of a sudden you become very reliant on these pharmaceuticals. In some cases addicted, and even further reliant. And in some cases they deteriorate your health even more, keeping you wrapped up in that perpetual cycle of consumerism. Everything that we are surrounded by, everything that we deal with in our daily lives is all based on consumerism. 100%. But I don't think it matters what it is. I think pretty much every facet of our life is based on this consumerism lie that we've all been led to believe is how we should live our lives. And it does keep us in a perpetual state of consuming pretty much everything. That consumerism, the toxic foods that we eat, the medical bills that we have to pay, the pharmaceuticals that we have to pay, all these things that we're relying on, all these things that we have to consume and that we become reliant on consuming, we have to pay for, which keeps us working, keeps us in a job for our entire lives, keeps us paying taxes, and it keeps us contributing not just to society, but to the people in charge, the leaders, the people that benefit from us paying taxes and paying these greedy corporations, because the more we spend, the more money they make. Because we pay taxes on everything 10 times over. And that's what it all boils down to. It boils down to money. So how do we break free from consumerism in terms of health and in terms of food and nutrition and pharmaceutical and all that stuff? I think the obvious answer is that don't buy things that would lead you to be a consumer. Things that are going to lead you to have poor health, and things that are going to lead you to... Get over here. Get down here. You know better than that. You know better than that. Crazy. She saw something up on the hill there. But I think the obvious answer is to not buy into the things that would lead you to become a consumer in those areas. So let's start with the healthcare industry. What's going to keep you out of the healthcare industry and not get you wrapped up in that consumerism around that industry? Well, it's going to be health is the number one thing. Get your health sorted out. Be as healthy as you can be. Exercise, get fit, eat healthy. Spend time outdoors, spend time in nature. All these things are going to keep you out of the healthcare industry. And that ties right into pharmaceuticals. The healthier you are, the less of a chance you're going to have of needing to be relying on pharmaceuticals, because they're not really needed if you're in good health, which is an amazing thing, because you're going to save a ton of money You don't have to worry about putting potentially toxic drugs in your body and dealing with side effects that you have to treat with other pharmaceuticals, which is also an amazing thing. So there's two categories of consumerism that you're pulled out of. Now, if you get those two sorted out and your health's better, then your mental state is probably going to improve, I would say, drastically. And when that happens, there's a pretty good chance that your consumerism around other things, like people that surround you, the need to swap out spouses, and you're always chasing the next best thing, and the things that you deem are important, all that's going to kind of change. And that's what I've noticed for myself, because when I improved my health and I landed on a carnivore diet, and all the drastic benefits I got from that, I had profound mindset shifts. I mean, it was like a whole new world was opened up in front of me, and the veil was lifted from my eyes. Because once you discover something like that, like, my whole life I was led to believe that vegetables were healthy and I had to have them to survive, and had to have 2 or 3 servings of fruit a day, and all these things were led to believe. And I did all that and my health was wrecked. I did the opposite and it improved, and I became the healthiest version of myself that I've ever been. It kind of makes you think, well, if they lied about this, what else did they lie about? So then you start digging into other things, and you start making really grand discoveries, and it really questions your beliefs and really pushes your moral obligation to yourself. It forces your identity is what it does. And it makes you question your identity. And that can be kind of an uncomfortable truth to realize, and something uncomfortable about yourself to realize, is that you've been basically lied to. You have to accept that fact, and you have to accept that maybe a big part of your life and the way you've been living it is kind of been a lie, and it's not really true to the things that you may now believe. So when you get all these things in order, it's like a domino effect. Like all these other things just start to fall into place. And when your mental health improves and you come to all these realizations, you really start to realize what really matters. And for me, that was getting out of the consumerism mindset. I realized right away that that was not something that I wanted to subscribe to. It was not something that was true to my current identity. And I really started to see things for what they were, which is exactly the way I just described them, is that all this stuff was designed to keep us trapped. And had I not broke free of all this and improved my health and improved my mental health and all that, maybe I wouldn't ever came to that realization. Come on. She's always trying to get in a fight with animals out here, which is not good, because sometimes she goes after raccoons, and they are very vicious and they can do some damage. So I try to keep an eye on her. But anyway, like I was saying, these things can just really help you see the truth. And the sooner you can start realizing the truth and seeing the truth, the faster you're going to see things for what they are. The more it's going to probably infuriate you that you bought into it, and that you've wasted at least part of your life and a lot of your money and a lot of your time, maybe to the detriment of your health, subscribing to their ideologies and living the life that they have really chosen for us according to their plan. So I think one of the most important things that we can do is to get away from that consumerism mindset. And from my experience, getting your physical and mental health in order is the fastest way to do that. So be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this. If you are or have been wrapped up in the consumerism mindset, do you see things for what they really are? Do you have any plans to escape from that? Are you escaped from that? I hope you are. Let me know down below. I'm going to continue my walk, see if we can get out of here before it gets dark on us. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like, subscribe, join the Apex Tribe. I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace out.